Hey Mustangs, this is Jessie Mum for the Blue View. As winter weather approaches, we've decided we want to find out more information regarding everything snow day related. I have Millard Superintendent Dr. Sutfin here today to talk about snow day procedures, including e-learning and the new late start policies. Welcome to Millard North, Dr. Sutfin. Can you outline the new Millard Snow Day options?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity to share our story. So we actually have three options that we have in our toolkit now. The first is we have a new one, which is the 2-hour late start. So last year during winter, if you followed along, there were days where we didn't go to school, but by 9:30, 10 o'clock, the roads were fine. Typically those are the times after you have a snow event and it's that next day. So we have a lot of young drivers, right? A lot of high school kids that drive to school. We have buses, lots of little tiny elementary kids. And we felt like if we would just pause and let rush hour traffic pass, let the sun come up, give the street crews an opportunity to finish up, as well as our crews around our school district, that would be an option we would have, so we wouldn't have to cancel the full day of school.
All right. And then what would dictate a late start versus an e-learning day versus a snow day?
Oh, very good. So, great question. In fact, I'm going to take my glasses off for this part, right? So, let's start with e-learning. In my mind, the preference will always be to go e-learning. That would be step one. We have been able to provide a device to every middle school and high school students. In fact, we're going to be one-to-one all the way down to third grade. So to be able to have those devices means we're creating a situation of anytime, anywhere learning, which means that you don't have to necessarily be at Millard North in order to participating in a learning activity, and you get to stay in a warm house. You get to be, big old thick wool socks, avoid the winter icky out there, and get a day of instruction. Now here's the trade-off. We don't make that day up, right? We make up all of our snow days, but if it's an e-learning day, we don't make that day up. So our goal is to get out before Memorial Day. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, so then what would dictate like an e-learning day?
Okay, so the e-learning...
then like a late start.
A late start. So a late start day, in my mind, always is kind of that day after the storm. Are the roads clear? Are we able to get students in safely by just simply pausing and waiting? And I think that is a tool. I don't know if we'll use it or not. I don't know how the storms will come in, right? Yeah. But again, we get to count that as a full day of instruction. And when we get to count that as a day of instruction, we don't make up that day either. And we keep the continuity of learning going. Mm-hmm. And then you want me to tell you about the let's just cancel school? Yeah. Okay. So we have minimum number of hours that we have to meet. And if we got into a troubled spot because we had too many late starts or we had too many e-learning days, then we would probably have to add on to the end of the year, which would mean we would just cancel school and then come back at a different time. That's my least favorite of all the options.
So we've never had late starts as an option in the past. What changed this year?
Well, I can tell you how it happened. I was in a meeting in California, and I was standing in the hallway canceling school. And standing next to me was the superintendent in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Same storm, same event, and he was putting a 2-hour late start in, and we were having a canceled day of school. So I stopped and talked to him about it, and I said, tell me about this 2-hour late start. Their school district, by the way, is the same size of ours. And he said, you know what? He said, we had 7 late starts this year and only 1 cancellation. We had 6 cancellations last year. So it just was an opportunity to add a tool to our toolkit, another option besides canceling school and disrupting the learning. Here's an interesting fact for you and for all of Mustang Nation. Last year when we came back from winter break, we did not go to school for a full week until the week before spring break because of breaks that were already in the calendar and all of the inclement weather days. And it was hard. It was start, stop, start, stop. This test is moved, this one's not, this one, and it became hard to get everybody to kind of gear up each time. And that continuity of learning, there's something to be said for it's go time. And let's just keep going. And with digital tools and a 2-hour late start, we can just keep going.
And then going on to talk about e-learning days, what are some expectations for both teachers and students on those days?
Yeah, so it's a day of learning, right? So if you, let's talk about teachers first, right? Every teacher has an opportunity to provide work for students in an e-learning day. And we want them to do that. We want them to be consistent with their instruction so that students have an opportunity to learn. So teachers are expected to post an assignment or an activity, or it may be a flipped classroom situation, so that students can learn. We also don't want to ruin the entire snow day, right? I mean, there is something to be said, and so we're kind of gearing that, you know, that somewhere around 4 hours or so of work in a given snow day would be an appropriate amount and still give students an opportunity to do what they need to do and to enjoy the fact that it's, you know, let's face it, snow days are fun, right? And we don't want to take the fun away from there. For students, you're expected to do the work, right? As a high school student, as you leave Millard North, you are going to encounter many more opportunities of blended learning in your life. We don't always have to be in the school for learning to take place. And this is meant to be practice for you to get used to what it looks like to be a more independent learner. In fact, we have 3 blended classes right now at Millard North, and those students don't go to class on the days that like everybody else does, right? Their schedule looks differently. And we feel like we can do that with snow days and give everybody that experience.
All right. Is there anything else you would like to add?
You know, there's 2 types of days in the winter. There are snow days and there are go days. And I really hope we have a lot of go days.
All right. I think that's all we have for today. Thank you for taking time to sit down with us and answer some questions, and best of luck this winter season.
Thank you very much. It's a great day to be a Mustang.